principles never stop paying off. Hi, I'm Brian Pombo. Welcome back to Brian J. Pombo Live. I was having a conversation tonight with a new friend. His name's Tim, and he had mentioned three books at separate times as having an effect on his life. And it's funny because there were three books that had a huge effect on my life, and they have three things that are very much in common. Besides a lot of the overall undercurrents of the books, the main things that these books have in common is that they are all deeply covering principles. And you've probably heard of all these books at one time or another. And if you haven't, you ought to get your hands on them. Now, each of these books, that there's a good advantage to them because they all have at least one audio version of them out there. And so, two of these books, I first heard them on audio and then went out and got the physical book because I was recommended that they were recommended to me, and it was one of these things where sometimes if I'm not quite sure about something, I'll oftentimes start with the audio version just to see what happens. So I'm going to go through these real quick, but these are principle based. So you got to remember that, and you got to be able to set aside some of the things you may have heard that may not fit into what you're doing, and just pay attention to the principles that they're talking about. This is a book that's gotten a whole lot of bad rap through the years. This is the 4-Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss. And the reason why it's gotten a bad rap is because of the title. But you would not know this book existed if it was not for the title. If he was going to name it some of the other things that he wanted to name it, it would have never been found, and he wouldn't be as famous a guy as he is today, having written many other books, done speeches. He's an angel investor in companies and everything else. But this is all about escape 9 to 5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. Now, his whole point of saying a 4-hour work week, and he goes through this in the book, I think, but for the most part, isn't that you're going to only work for 4 hours a week. That isn't what he's selling. What he's selling is the principles that allow a person to possibly work only 4 hours a week, at least for a period of time, or less, or more, but have it be a lifestyle choice based on the fact that if you follow the right principles, you can have the right type of income. Now, this is the expanded edition, expanded and updated edition, which is one of my favorites. It has a lot of the extra stuff in it, so it's a little thicker. The unabridged audiobook of this is really well done. It's not read by the author, but the guy that does it, I think he really captures Tim Ferriss's style and sarcasm and everything else. It's a really fun listen and a great read. It's a good one to have because it has so many details in it in terms of websites and other books and everything else. It's one of those things you want to go back to. I almost use this as a reference book now. So good. So good. One of the first ones that helped make 80-20 kind of a modern day principle and really put it out there for a widespread audience. You know, Pareto principle, really good stuff. Next book. You've heard me talk about this here before, The One Thing by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. This is a great book, and it encapsulates a whole bunch of principles under one underlying principle, which is his whole concept of the focusing question. And the focusing question is, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Magic stuff. Magic in the simplification, in the what's the other word I'm thinking of? Minimalization of concepts to help get you to focus. Not that you should only be focused on one thing, but if you need to know what to do right now out of all the different things to do, just break it down to one thing first and then go from there. Fabulous book. Another great audio that I love going back to. Once again, I don't think that one was read by the author either, but still very good. Great book, good one to have. It's got a lot of diagrams and everything, which makes it a good book to own. Also, if you're good at actually reading, that's a good one to read. This is a very short book, and I don't have the book at my fingertips. I pulled it out for another reason, and now it's lost somewhere in the office. But this is the audiobook version of The Slight Edge, and this is an abridged version. But it really gives you a good taste if you just want to try it out. But there's no reason why you shouldn't buy the book. The book is relatively thin, and it's amazing. Sticks to one principle, the principle of building habits, and how to do that when you are not a naturally disciplined person. We've talked about this before about habits on the show. This is a life changer of a book. It really is. Amazing book, The Slight Edge. I just want to thank Tim for bringing up those three. I happen to have them right here on the shelf, and really three life-changing books for me too. I can absolutely say that, and it's the principles. If you can capture some of these principles and ideas, you could pass them on to other people, and you can see them running throughout your life, and you can see them running throughout history. These books, maybe these books particularly, maybe they're not written in a way that will be easily read in a few hundred years or so, but the principles still exist. So someone's going to need to rewrite the same idea at least over and over again, because these principles don't die. They're part of human nature. They're part of nature itself. If you're talking about the 80-20 rule, it's throughout the universe. It's amazing stuff. So hopefully that's helpful to you. Just remember to always bring it back to the principles if you can. My book is very much about principles, even though I take a very light approach to the whole thing. 9 Ways to Amazon-Proof Your Business. You can get that a free copy at AmazonProofBook.com, AmazonProofBook.com, and we'll be back here tomorrow with another tip. We'll either be talking principles, strategies, or tactics, ways that you could explode your business. Hey, you have a great night. Get out there and let the magic happen.